phone going to go to voicemail. Goodbye.
Okay, so the story starts with the main character, Joe Mingray, waking up in a new body, and he is geeked, thinking that what feels like a brain hemorrhage was just a side effect of working. Turns out, he got transmigrated into a guy named Klein, who has committed suicide right before getting isekai'd. And it looks like two of Klein's buddies, Welch and Naya, also did the same thing. And I did not see this on the first watch, but holy shit, what did they do to Welch to make him do this to himself? Moving on. Pretty much Klein's buddies are dead, and new Klein has no fucking clue what's happening right now. So he looks around and finds old Klein's notebook, and decides to just start reading the diary just to figure out what the hell is even going on. While reading Klein's notebook, the main character learns that Klein, Welch, and Naya were studying a different and ancient notebook written by the Antigonus family. But that was until they all just committed suicide. And the last thing that Klein wrote in this logbook was, "Everyone will die, including me." A little strange, but okay. Right after he finishes reading, we meet Klein's little sister, Melissa, who is adorable, by the way. And after trying to act as normal as possible in conversation with Melissa, along with trying to hide the gun at the same time, Klein realizes that his bullet wound has already healed, which could be a power that came with transmigration. Then Klein starts thinking about what got him here in the first place, and remembers that it was a luck enhancement ritual he did because things were looking bad at work. Bro is getting the Japanese salaryman treatment. Melissa's about to leave for school, so she just gives us some rock-hard bread to eat and says to go buy some food since we're running low. And this is perfect because Klein needs some food in order to do the luck enhancement ritual, in an effort to potentially get back home as soon as possible. So Klein sets off with gun and holster and goes off to do some shopping. But the world is just against him. Immediately after buying some bread, Klein figures out that he's being followed by some bum stalkers, and while cautiously meandering on the street, he hears people playing cards, and suddenly remembers that there was an Emperor Rosel Gustave who invented tarot cards and a bunch of other stuff that had existed on Earth, meaning that this Rosel must also be a transmigrator, must also have been isekai. So, getting caught up in his thoughts, Klein gets startled by this random guy he locks in for no reason after dropping and picking up a coin. Like, bro was actually prepared to shoot this man for soliciting his circus performance. Anyway, Klein shakes his head back into the game and remembers that he's being stalked, so he tries to lose them after walking into a tent. In this tent is a fortune teller, and he gets his tarot cards read and sees that his present is represented by the Fool, though we're not told what that means. After Klein gets out of the tent, he finally seems to have lost his stalker. So he heads home and does the luck enhancement ritual that got him isekai'd here by putting a loaf of bread in each corner of his room. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel bad for Melissa because I know these guys don't have enough money to be wasting on 4 loaves of bread. Anyway, as he's doing this, we see a clip of the police, and it seems like not only does bro have ops, the police are on his ass too. And he starts the ritual, and nothing happens. Just kidding. Four pieces of bread did that, by the way. Yes, Klein does a domain expansion while accidentally summoning 2 randoms into his divine realm, as Blondie over here calls it. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this entire scene, Klein was keeping it together, aura farming to the max, making some tables and chairs for the gang, and with aura and a deep-ass voice, announces himself to be called the Fool. But us knowing what Klein knows, we all know that he's just spouting bullshit the entire time. Like, when Bluehead over here asks what Klein wants to do with him summoning them, bro just says, an attempt, like they're supposed to know what the fuck that means. Anyways, after being summoned, Blondie thinks that Klein is a Beyonder, so she excitedly asks how she could become one too. But bro fully understood that he has no clue what they're talking about, and he just goes, "This man can answer your question." And craziest thing, this shit all works out. By the way, Beyonders are the people with supernatural powers in this world. And when Blondie asks how she can become a Beyonder, the blue guy says that to become a Beyonder, you need to join an organization, and they'll give you a Beyonder potion which will turn you into a Beyonder. Or you could also make a deal with him, because he currently has the recipes to 2 Sequence 9 Beyonder potions. Sequence referring to the strength of the Beyonder ability, Sequence 9 being the weakest, and the lower the number, the stronger the ability. The girl and the guy both make a deal for one of the guy's Sequence 9 Beyonder potions, but they need Klein to arbitrate their transaction, so they ask him if they could meet some more. They also pretty much say, we will do whatever you say, and we can help you with things inconvenient for you, since they think Klein is some powerful Beyonder. So thinking about the information he lacks and his desire to get back to the real world, Klein goes,
"The meetings can be every Monday at 3 p.m.
I'm not gonna lie, me doing this shit is so stupid. Moving on. Now, someone is knocking at Klein's door in the real world, and it seems that this power, this domain expansion that he calls the Grey Mist, is fading. So, right before Klein finishes playing God, Blondie introduces herself as Audrey and the blue guy as Alger. Just as his mind is about to blow up like the blueberry girl from Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, Klein ends the meeting. So, my question here is, does he still have the bread? Once Klein wakes up, 2 policemen are at his door. One is the person that was stalking him earlier, and the second one introduces himself as Dunn Smith. They're here to investigate Naya and Welch's deaths, and pretty much Klein tells them about waking up, not remembering anything, and needing to guess what happened based on his diary. Dunn goes, "The psychic expert will help you recall your memories." So then, they begin escorting him to the psychic. Klein is kind of scared that the psychic will see his memories of Earth, so he really wants to avoid her. And because of this, Klein runs away while being escorted, but some freaky ass shit starts happening. Klein gets away, hops into a random carriage where he sees the policeman again, and well, turns out, Dunn Smith knows how to use genjutsu, and he was controlling everything the entire time. Dunn then just does this, and then Klein gets jumped by a lady who says, "I will provide you with enough gentleness and lubrication."
Huh?
What? And Dunn says, "Don't worry, she's just trying to calm you down. She likes corpses more than men." That is crazy. If you don't believe me, hear the subtitles. Welcome to Klein's mind world. So now the psychic is trying to uncover Klein's forgotten memories, but lo and behold, she can't. However, his memory of his parents, and by proxy Earth, seem to be safe from the psychic, and Klein guesses that it could be because of the grey mist covering those memories in his mind world. Afterward, she pretty much just asks Klein some questions, and he's like, "Dude, I'm as clueless as you, and I got no fucking clue." Then Klein wakes up, and the psychic's just pretty much like, "Yeah, he shot himself, that's all I got." Then her face comes to the light, and her name is Dally Simone, and that's pretty much all we get. Dunn tells us that the Antigonus notebook is missing and that Klein is in danger, but he isn't our babysitter and can't always protect Klein unless he joins Dunn's organization, the Nighthawks, and becomes a Beyonder. Now we're in episode 2! Alright, so wanting protection and more knowledge about Beyonders, Klein walks to a pub and gives a secret passcode to the bartender who leads him into the Nighthawk HQ, which seems to be some office for a security company. That'll be important later. Then we meet the receptionist, Roseanne, who leads us down to Dunn. We then meet Dunn and sign a contract with the Nighthawks, but he says something about the Nighthawks tending to lose control and tells Klein to grab a candle and follow. Not gonna lie, I thought we were about to do some ritual or something, but Dunn takes us to a hall filled with graves belonging to previous Nighthawks, and tells us that most of them died by going mad, whatever that means. After Klein and Dunn both pay their respects, Dunn tells Klein that by using mysticism ingredients, we can create Beyonder potions. The Church of the Evernight Goddess, which presides over the Nighthawks, knows the recipe to 4 out of 22 pathways. They have the complete sequence for Sleepless, which I assume is the Genjutsu ability. They also have Mystery Prior, which I assume is the Psychic ability, Corpse Collector, and only sequence 9 for Seer. Dunn describes Mystery Prior and Seer as more advantageous in mysticism, but lacking in offense, so Klein decides he wants one of those two since he needs more knowledge about mysticism. Dunn then refers us to another guy to help us with the decision, so we make our way over there and... This is Neil, who tells us that if Klein keeps studying, he could use his history student knowledge of ancient languages to decipher Emperor Roselle's notebooks, which, lo and behold, are in goddamn Chinese. When Klein reads the notebook entry, it pretty much goes like this. "I am the main character, I get all the huzz. You idiots are making the potions wrong." And lastly, but most importantly, fuck! I should have chosen the seer or the marauder. So after reading this, Klein is like, I should probably listen to my predecessor and choose the seer. So Neil makes the potion while majestically reciting the recipe. And once he's done, Klein is like, down the hatch. Klein starts tweaking out and hears voices saying, Hornesis, Flagrea. But Neil says it's normal for his powers to leak out right after taking the potion, so he makes Klein get a hold of his power by thinking about something that does and doesn't exist in this world. The first bit was fine, but when they get to the doesn't exist in this world part, well, Klein has a lot of experience. His mind went so out of control that it looks like the mysterious gray mist was the final variable that was able to calm him down. Klein is now back to his senses and has his powers activated. He is now a seer. Immediately after getting his power, he can now use spirit vision, which allows him to determine health condition based on aura. Klein disses Neil, in his head of course, for being old and dying, but also strangely sees a human at the edge of his vision. Neil also says that we get some other abilities, but Klein is done for the day. But before he leaves, Neil makes sure to give him some demon hunting bullets. We head back to Dunn, and he tells us not to pry into anything we shouldn't have seen or heard, which I guess is a nod to earlier when Klein saw a person that wasn't there. More importantly though, Klein is now employed as a clerk for the Nighthawks with a 12-pound starting bonus. Apparently Klein's brother makes 6 pounds a week, so 12 pounds is quite the nice sum. Klein quickly celebrates his newly found employment and movement out of poverty, and as a last word, Dunn tells Klein to buy a cane with the money and to walk around Welch's house every day to see if he can remember where the notebook was. Now it's time for Klein's first mission. We see Klein in a carriage with who we knew as one of the policemen, his name is Leonard, for Klein's first mission. Leonard explains that since the Nighthawks are technically undercover as a security company, they sometimes have to take care of things relating to security. So in this assignment, Klein needs to find and retrieve a tobacco merchant's son. Leonard hands Klein the kid's clothes and pocket watch, and with these materials, Klein uses his new powers and new cane serving as a dowsing rod to find the kidnapped boy's location. Oh, apparently also Klein can use spirit vision to look through walls like he does here. Now that they found the kid, Klein and Leonard can rescue him. Well, more just Leonard, because he actually throws mad hands. Bro dodges a bullet, drops a one-liner, deflects 2 bullets, bends a gun, farms aura in front of the kid, and bam, 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 just brutally kills both kidnappers. But it's not over yet though, because after a couple seconds, these guys enter phase 2 and morph together like Nina from Full Metal Alchemist. But it's okay though. Leonard is still unscathed in phase 2, dodges every attack, and puts the demon in its place. The demon tries to hide in the shadows and jump Klein because he's weaker, but our guy just unloads a demon hunting bullet into it, and the demon just tries to run for its life. But no, we have another domain expansion, and Leonard makes brutally quick work of that demon. After the demon is incapacitated, Klein hears Hornesis Flagrea again, as he remembers a memory of being in this exact house before. The kid is then returned back to his parents, and Klein is watching Leonard examine the body of the demon. Leonard says that he wonders where they got the Beyonder potion, and that wild Beyonders go haywire without a doubt. With this dialogue, it's safe to assume that demons are created when Beyonders go insane. Then Leonard goes, anyways, great working with you. Klein is like, are we that close? There's something that draws me to you. Everyone's a freak, I guess. Everyone here's a freak. But after Klein leaves the house, Leonard seems to talk to his shadow, and he says, I knew it, he's not special. So, something's up with Leonard. Now it's time to go home. Once Melissa hears that I got a job, she'll be so happy. The fuck? Yeah, I'm not even sure what's happening here. The door opens, windows are swinging, curtains are waving, pages are flipping. We see the Fool's Tarot card again, and I got no clue what that meant, but apparently after experiencing that, Klein thinks that the house across the kidnapping place has a clue to the Antigonus notebook. And that's where episode 2 ends. Hope y'all like that one. Yeah. Like, subscribe, please.